All right, mate. Feeling good, yeah? You sure? You look stressed. You know what you need right now? Relax.
Take a break.
Chill out. That's been some day. I'm here for you. I'll always be here.
Hanging around like a bad smell.
You can't get rid of me. You need me.
No, you don't ignore me.
I'll kill you.
Once you quit smoking, you realise it's not the friend you thought it was. Quit for 28 days and start taking back control. Find out how at quit.ie from the HSE.
Download Whiskey Hell Podcast. We call attention to the mainstream media narratives weekly in hopes that you'll have fun with how ridiculous the news really is. We don't want to change your mind. We just want to give you perspective so that you can choose more wisely and be more aware. Couple that with great craft beer, hilarious stories, deep thoughts, and real conversations. We know you're going to enjoy us. Download Whiskey Hell Podcast anywhere you find outstanding shows.
Take my eyes open to force reality. Why can't you just let me eat my weight in glee? Hush.
Hello, World Ablaze listeners. Well, they did it. It happened. They found Trump guilty in the hush money case. Of course, everybody's waiting for a response from all the political talking heads, podcasters, media, personalities. And I'm sitting here in Studio A, lighting a Rocky Patel 60, because I'm going to try to stay calm during this response. So therefore, I'm going to light myself a nice cigar. Just about lit. Take a nice puff there. Okay. So, I can't say that we should be surprised. If you're paying attention, we all saw this coming. But what I am surprised by is the amount of silence, initial silence by just about everybody who built their careers on the back of Donald Trump. And I'm speaking mostly to these political commentators and talking heads and media personalities. Of course, those aligned with the Democratic Party or far left, spoke out right away. They even had a felony counter. CNN had a felony counter that they would just check the box for every felony that he was convicted of. And look, let's just get this out of the way. Should you be concerned that Donald Trump was found guilty in this? Or should you be concerned that the precedent has been set and you very well could be next? You might be shaking your head or thinking, what the hell is he talking about? But it's not really about Donald Trump. This whole thing is about maintaining power and putting America under the rule of tyranny by the ruling class being the Democratic Party. What has happened is done nothing more than divide America even further. There has been calls through social media already where people are proposing that they take up arms and that it is time that we start a civil war. And that's not the answer. I will stay away from that. I will definitely back up what I say when I say that is not the answer. Causing an internal war in America against your own brothers and sisters is not the answer. Killing each other is not the answer, because most people everyone who sides with the Democratic Party, most of them, I should say, most of them, not all, follow blindly. They just back their team. They believe whatever's on the news. And the reality is shows like mine exist to try to go into detail and give you more insight and tell you the truth about what's going on. I already addressed some of this hush money case debacle in episode 19. Right now we're on episode 22, so just a few episodes ago. And if you want to go back, I go into it just a bit. But what I will say about most, not all, of the Democrat Party supporters is you all claim to be the party of the educated. And this is going to be insulting, but if you're so educated, you're either showing everyone how stupid you are right now or how selectively ignorant you are. Because for those of you jumping up and down on the streets and laughing and are so happy about the fact that Trump is found guilty, what you're missing is the bigger picture. You're missing what this really means for you. You see, first off, we can go into some of the case details as I did before, as I said in episode 19, but the reality of this case is it was a complete fabrication. For one, they didn't have a charge. And everybody said, what are you talking about? He was charged with 34 counts of falsifying business records. Sure. In the state of New York, they're going to say that it's illegal to do so. But how were the business records falsified? All of this goes back to the payments that were made to Stormy Daniels. The payments that were made to Stormy Daniels by Trump's lawyer, and the payment that Donald Trump paid his lawyer in payments as well. So what they tried to do, now, number one, the falsifying business records in New York in and of itself is a misdemeanor and not a felony. But somehow, Alvin Bragg, in all his wisdom, decided that he was able to upgrade these charges from misdemeanor to felony charges because somehow these misdemeanor charges, these falsification of business records, were part of an attempt to cover up another bigger scheme, and thus is how they are supposedly felonies. Only problem with that is Bragg himself, in the indictments, didn't even outline what that bigger conspiracy or charge was. Never did. And as far as falsifying the records, they're going to say that the documents, the 34 documents that they used, were literally check stubs, invoices from Michael Cohen, and a journal that was kept by the Trump organization. Those were the 34 documents that falsified information, because instead of saying this is a payment to Stormy Daniels, it said that the payments were literally for the retention services of his lawyer. That is what they're saying is misclassified and why they're saying it's a falsification of business records. Technically, Michael Cohen is the one who took out the loan against his house to pay Stormy Daniels. Now, I'm going to say all this and it's all over, so it's not going to matter at this moment, but I am doing this so you actually can understand what actually happened and why this whole thing is bad. Bad for our country and honestly bad for you, the listener. And bad for me. Bad for all of us. You see, Michael Cohen took out the loan, took the money against his house to pay Stormy Daniels. So if we're going to look at how they're trying to use all this as misclassification of how the payments were made by the Trump organization, all right, let's discuss that. So the reality, excuse me as I touch up a cigar here. The reality is Trump then made arrangements to pay his lawyer back for doing so. See, the whole reason this whole thing was even done in the first place is because a deal was made between Trump organization and Stormy Daniels by buying out the story for one from the National Enquirer. Again, said all this in episode 19, but for those who didn't listen or don't want to go listen because you just don't want to, let me take it down this path. Stay along for the ride. So the falsification of business records is referring to Trump paying Michael Cohen, but instead of saying that the payments were for paying off Stormy Daniels or paying her contractually, by the way, contractually agreed amount of money for maintaining silence about a certain situation, which all in and of itself is not illegal, especially when the other party agreed to this payment arrangement. See, Trump paid his lawyer and basically classified them, as I said earlier, as payments made towards retention of his services. Technically, that could actually be correct. Technically, is correct. He's paying him back for his services. I know you think I'm reaching out there. I see all you blue-haired, face-pierced, non-sexual, classified liberals out there going nuts, having a meltdown right now. Well, let's think logically about this. Paying his lawyer for services. Period. Now, even if you say, well, he misclassified. Okay. Usually in these situations, especially when it comes to taxes, there'd be an audit and say, okay, where was this money going? If it's all there, like he didn't hide it, by the way. That's what I'm not understanding. He never hid that he paid his lawyer. Lawyer never hid that the payments made to his contractual agreement between them and Stormy Daniels. There was no hiding anything. So how they're able to go after him and say that there was a falsification of business records is a bit ridiculous. Usually, if there was a red flag about anything here, usually because something's being hidden in terms of finances, which none of this was the case whatsoever, there would be an audit, and they'd say, well, if it was for tax reasons, for example, where it would benefit you on a bigger refund or a bigger tax cut, IRS would go, well, after auditing your records, we find that this was misclassified and we need to reevaluate your taxes. They would reevaluate with you. And then what would happen is they would say, well, we now find that in lieu of the evidence and what we found in terms of your record keeping, that you owe us, the IRS, X amount of dollars. And then at that point, they usually will make payment arrangements or whatever it is for you to fulfill your obligation. Now, that's what usually happens, but not in this case. Somehow, Alvin Bragg was able to dismiss all of that, to throw all that out the window, and upgrade these misdemeanors to felony charges because of alleged campaign interference or suppressing information that would somehow influence the campaign, the presidential campaign of 2016, that this was election interference, and furthermore, tried to state that it was campaign fraud because the funds that were paid to Stormy Daniels, he tried to say and tried to prove that it was over the limit for campaign contribution. Now, I'm trying to understand how they made the case that the payments to Stormy Daniels was a campaign contribution. To whose campaign? To hers? Because it wasn't to Trump's. And furthermore, the money that was paid never came out of a campaign fund. It came out of Trump's real estate company and out of the Trump Foundation's account. Never, ever, ever out of a political campaign account. Never from a political campaign fund. So if you're going to follow the money in order to convict someone, how is it possible that this hush money payment, contractual agreement between the Trump Foundation and Stormy Daniels is any way tied to election interference and to illegal campaign fund handling? How is that even possible? This is everything I'm saying is me trying to get you to understand, because many of you don't want to understand. You just want to hate Trump the man, which is fine. We don't have to like him. Hell, he's not necessarily the hill I'm ever going to die on. I've just always said between him and Biden, he was the better choice. And he was also the better president. Whether you want to believe it or not, take your head out of the sand and realize we were in much better shape. And the only thing that anyone ever tries to bring up to discredit Trump is COVID. Well, bear in mind, Trump had a bunch of people from the Democratic Party trying to sway him to do whatever through political pressure. He had doctors such as Fauci and other people who are considered the authorities in their field to get him to lock down the country, to issue the vaccine, which was supposedly safe, which came out later not to be. We had the Democratic Party who was for the vaccine, pushing the vaccine, but not while Trump was in office. Remember the videos and everything about Harris and Biden saying, I will never stick anything in my arm that President Trump approves or pushes. But as soon as he was out, it was okay. And it was okay to lock us down even further. And it was okay to federally mandate vaccines so that you can keep your job, so that you can operate as a citizen in the United States. I mean, the hypocrisy here is crazy. Sorry, take another puff here. So that's all okay. From the outset, the bigger story here is we are witnessing one political party going out of their way to suppress another political party, or more granularly here, breaking it down even more, just narrowing our microscope here. One political presidential candidate is trying to suppress another by taking him off the ballot and literally trying to throw him in jail by fabricating false charges and manipulating the law to their benefit in order to get rid of another political opponent who is running for president. That's exactly what the real issue is here. The issue that so many of you don't see. You're just so happy to see the orange man go to prison. You're happy to see him be charged guilty. And for what? Nothing. They don't have a charge. Even Alvin Bragg said that he can't. You know what? I'm going to read this here. So the crime of falsifying business records is included in New York's penal code. Falsifying records in the second degree is a misdemeanor, but becomes a felony if the person falsified business records with an intent to commit another crime or to aid or conceal the commission of a crime. So I already addressed that they never, ever, ever, ever can even come up with what that crime was that can even upgrade this misdemeanor up to a felony. They never define it. So Bragg used the felony statute to charge Trump 34 times, as I said earlier, which refers to the 34 documents the grand jury found to have contained a critical false statement related to the payments. These documents include checks written by Michael Cohen, Donald Trump's former lawyer, as payments for legal services over a 9-month period when Trump was running for president. Bragg said these payments were for non-business reasons. So why did Trump repeatedly make these false records? It doesn't even matter. So the thing about it is, Bragg said that it is against New York's election law to conspire to promote a candidacy by unlawful means. he has not proven how that is even true. So, what is the conspiracy, Alvin? Bragg also suggested prosecutors are examining statements intended to evade tax authorities. Okay, well, maybe I can side with you on that one, but as I stated earlier, if this was so true, the IRS would have been all over Trump already, and they would have already settled things. So, Bragg also said that as far as the other law or the other law that was supposedly broken that would push everything up from misdemeanor to felony, during a press conference, Bragg said the law does not require him to specify those laws in the indictment, but he threw out a few laws that may apply. So they have nothing, had nothing, but yet still somehow Trump was found guilty. Well, the deck was stacked against him. And this is the outcome that we all saw coming, because they've been after him since 2016. They've been after an opposing political candidate since 2016. They don't like him because he opposes what they stand for. He doesn't toe the line. He's not bought into their way of life and how they want to go ahead to continue to manipulate and control America to the benefits of their own pockets. That's the story. The story is, if you fuck with those in power, namely the Democratic Party, and at this moment, Joe Biden's regime, that they're going to go after you with all they have. And everything that I just read about Trump's hush money case, as far as falsifying business records, taxes, etc. As a small business person, if you're listening to this podcast right now and you're a small business owner, it doesn't matter if you're in a Republican or Democratic state, but pretty much if you're in a Democratic state more than anything, you may want to think about how they can use this to go after you if they don't like you. And this doesn't have to be a big, blown out, thing that happens on a grand scale at, on the level of the world press here. You as a local individual in your local town, local city, whatever, what's to stop Mayor, I don't know, Joe Schmo, who suddenly doesn't like you, from trying to use these tactics to go after you? Or city manager, Democratic dumbfuck, from going after you for the same exact things or same manner in which they went after Trump. For you to lose your livelihood, to lose everything. See, they don't have to assassinate or murder you. They just got to lock you away. Sounds very similar to, I don't know, what was that country? Brazil? What they do there? Yeah. Ecuador? Hell, Putin, although he does assassinate people. And almost just about every other third world country where the dictator or people of power want to maintain power. Anyone who comes up as the opposition that earns the respect and support of the people, they can't have that. So what do? They get rid of them. That's what's going on here. That's what people don't understand. It's not about Trump. For me, it's not about Trump. Okay? Look, if he's a bad man, truly found guilty of bad things, he needs to pay for them. But the problem is they can't even define what the fuck he's being, what he was even on trial for. They can't. And then they falsify records and manipulate the law to work in their favor. But by the definition of the laws that were presented that he supposedly broke, there is no case. But it happened anyway. All you liberals out there, pull your head out of your ass and realize, great, you didn't like Trump. He's away. It's time to stop celebrating. Let it sink in what just happened in America. We've become divided. The political ruling class just let everyone know, you included, by the way, because you are below them and are now considered their subjects. Whatever they did to Trump, they will do to you, they will do to me, and they will do to everybody. It doesn't matter. They've opened a door that they can't go back through. And that is the problem we have. We are literally heading down the path of every other third world country. We're a banana republic at this point. And we may very well be on the cusp of another civil war, not against racism, not against each other, but against opposing political ideals and opposing political parties. And I really hope that it doesn't get there. But keep your head on a swivel. So all you super educated Democrats, it's time to reach deep back into your past education. Put your critical thinking cap on and stop raising your pom-poms cheering for your favorite team or, favorite quarterback or whoever, and realize that what just happened, we let happen as a people. And now there's nothing stopping the government from going after anyone, any of us, period. And coincidentally, while this was going on, Joe Biden's team is still trying to attack our right to bear arms by taking our guns away and putting more regulations on them. So now it's okay to throw opposing political views, ideals, anyone who has anything that opposes the current sitting regime that's in power, they could do anything to throw you in jail by manipulating the law. Truly manipulating, by the way. Not as a typical lawyer will interpret a law. See, there's a difference between interpreting and then manipulating, and they are manipulating the law. So now that that's okay, because they said it's okay, and everybody's cheering and clapping their hands and waving their pom-poms and saying, yeah, that's great. Look what you did. Fuck that guy, Trump. That's amazing. But the way they did it has been accepted and is now okay to use against you. And they're now pushing even harder. They want your guns gone. You are no longer going to have a right to bear arms. They're trying to take that from you. So you've accepted that you can be removed for just thinking differently or having opposing ideas, opposing views. Then you're not going to be able to defend yourself. So what's next? Ask yourself that. What is next? Are you truly proud of what's going on? It's time to stand up. It's time to stop being so tolerant. Now I'm talking to all you conservative people out there, you armchair Republicans who let it get to this point, who never stood your ground, who were afraid to lose their job and their income and didn't want to offend or run away from an argument because you just didn't want to get drug into an argument because you didn't want to feel the backlash of the social pressures. Fuck all that. That's how we got here, by not putting our foot down, by not expressing our views and opinions, by just letting the 1.5% of America who may be LGBTQIA plus trans, whatever, do whatever they want and dictate how your children are being educated and what they're being exposed to. Being tolerant and letting those get away with pedophilia. And we're talking politicians, by the way. For that to be okay, you should be truly disgusted, and you yourself should probably be punished for even letting that happen. I know, this sounds harsh, right? But this is all true. The America you love is gone. And if you want it back, you better start acting like you want it back. Don't be afraid of the trans person who says they're going to report you and you're going to lose your job. For what? For what? For standing on your moral grounds? For not wanting your children exposed? For not wanting, borderline, if not pornographic content being taught to your fifth grader? Especially when it relates to having gay sex? I'm not understanding how we're wrong for standing up for America. For standing up to trying to achieve the American dream. How we can't come together as Americans and truly support each other And it doesn't matter if you're black, white, fucking brown, red. I don't care. We all should not care. That should not matter. What we care about are foreign invaders literally coming in over the border to take our country away from us. And who's letting this happen? Joe Biden. You see, the systematic dismantling of America, it's been going on for a while, but it seemed to ramp up during the 2016 election. It seems that no matter what anybody in the Democratic Party does, it's okay. It's okay. And listen, all you Republicans, you let it happen. To all you loudmouth motherfucking representatives of the people, such as Ted Cruz. Listen, Ted Cruz, I'm going to call you up because you're probably one of the loudest. You really are. You're always talking on your podcast and talking on all these other outlets as a guest and whatnot about what you're doing and who you're calling out and who you're questioning. And I hear your video clips, and yes, you're an educated man and you're a lawyer and blah, 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 blah. And who gives a fuck? Because here's the deal, Ted. What's been done? If as a Republican, a member of the Republican Party, you really truly care, you would rally the troops to stop what's been happening. You would truly stand up for what is right in America. But thus far, I haven't seen the fucking results. And while I may myself be a registered Republican, I'm pretty disenfranchised with the party itself. Now, I'm a registered Republican because I do lean more conservative, but it doesn't mean that I personally don't find some ideas and values on the Democratic side to, make sense. Because, hey, we're humans and human rights and equal opportunity makes sense. So yeah, I'm calling out Ted Cruz, for example. I'm calling that guy out. If you got the balls and you have the influence you say you do, Teddy, go fucking do something. Get me some results here. And I'm also going to call out people like Nikki Haley, who's a warmonger, who's a Republican, but a complete cunt. And I said it. Do you know that Nikki Haley was frothing at the mouth, waiting to get rid of Trump? Because I think she was probably in on it or knew, which is why she never pulled out of campaigning. She was recently, take another puff here. She was recently photographed riding on a warhead in Israel. She wrote, "Finish the job," and signed her fucking name on the warhead. Now, is that the type of person you want to represent America? Republican Party, are you really going to allow her to somehow slip in and take over the Republican nominee while they keep Trump occupied, distracted, and or even incarcerated? Let's do some real critical thinking here on both sides, Republican, Democrat. I know there's a Libertarian Party, the 3% of whoever gives a fuck, to be quite honest. Because if they were serious, Libertarian Party, we would all care about them, but nobody does. Because while they have some great ideas, they themselves fight each other because none of them want to be governed. So why in the fuck are you even a political party? None of you want governance or want to be governed. Or let's say you do, but oppose most of it. I mean, at some point, some body, some entity, some person is going to have to make a decision for the rest of the people. There's going to have to be an elected official. Hence, we have governance. So I say to you, while you have some great ideas, pull your heads out of your ass. It's time to all start thinking as Americans and stop thinking of just ourselves. Divide and conquer. That's what's going on here. And so far, we're not quite yet conquered, but we're getting there. The division is there. There's talks of civil war. There's some pretty pissed off people, and I truly, truly hope it doesn't go off the rails here, because that's not what we need as a country. But I have to say that if you've seen any responses on social media, or you've seen your friend suddenly put the United States upside down flag to show that we are a country in distress. And you yourself are starting to question your friend and what the fuck is that person talking about? They're crazy. And the only thing out of your mouth is, fuck Trump, he got what he deserved. All right, fair enough. Well, I'm going to say you're an idiot because you're not seeing the bigger picture here. I'm not sure how many other ways I can say it. And I'd love to get more detailed, but my time is kind of limited these days in recording these shows because I'm balancing a lot. But again, let's recap. The bigger picture here is not Trump. The bigger picture is the ruling class, the political party in charge, the tyrant of a political party, the Democratic Party, is going out of their way to eliminate the political opposition, to control others through means of manipulation of the law to their benefit. Not interpretation, as I said. Believe me, it's manipulation of the law to their benefit. They're going out of the way to do everything they can without using violence to suppress any individual who threatens their rule over the United States of America as the tyrants that they fucking are. And that is what the real issue is here. Well, that's the show. I'm sorry if that was harsh, but that is just the way it is. Please share the show, and once again, thank you.
I wanna taste your content, hold your breath and feel the tension. Devils hide behind redemption. Honesty is a one-way gate to hell.
At Vodafone, we do the largest EU roaming data, so now you can really go places and never get lost.
You have arrived at the Coliseum.
Never be misunderstood.
Dove il bar irlandese?
And always catch your next train.
Train to Paris leaves in 10 minutes.
Phew! You do you, while we do unlimited 5G data alongside the largest EU roaming data allowance. Sign up and top up every 28 days. Vodafone. Together we can.
Subject to coverage and eligible device. For full terms, see vodafone.ie/terms.